There are a lot of myths related to programming and software development. Some of these myths are told by people unfamiliar to programming or just gatekeepers in general. To make matters worse, these myths are enough to derail someone's intention from getting into programming. In this video, I'll be discussing some of the most popular myths I've heard and debunking them based on my personal experience. Let's get into it. The first myth I've heard is that you need to go to a university to learn how to code, or you need to have a university degree to get a programming job. This couldn't be farther from the truth. In today's day and age, a computer and a connection to the internet are all you need to start learning. There are tons and tons of free resources online you can use to learn how to code. There are also resources you can pay for on sites like Code Academy, Udacity, LinkedIn Learning, and a lot more that offer a learning structure and are way cheaper than going to college. There's a high demand for software developers right now, and the last thing anyone cares about is how you learned how to code. They only care that you have the knowledge and have tangible project experience, all of which comes with practice. If you're looking to learn how to code, I put together this free self-taught developer guide. It has a learning plan and links to the best free resources I found for learning all the topics. Link is down in the description below. There are also mobile apps like Mimo, Solo Learn, and Code Academy Go you can use to explore and learn in short increments. A bootcamp is also a good option if you have the means. Most companies only care that you can code, and they test that during technical interviews. They're not as concerned about whether you have a degree or learned from a university. The second myth I've heard is you need to be a genius and good at math to code, and everyone who codes is a genius. This is false. You don't have to be a genius or good at math to code. The concept of coding itself is abstract. You're literally learning a new language to talk to a computer. Like any new thing, it'll be hard in the beginning. Remember when you were learning how to ride a bike, or when you were learning how to drive, or learning a new software? It was hard, or at the very least, it was uncomfortable at the beginning. You're stepping out of your comfort zone to learn something new. The beginnings will always be hard, but you have to be comfortable in that phase where you're a beginner and stick through it, because that's where the growth happens. Among other things, I strongly believe the key difference between the people who know how to code and the people who are just starting is time and experience. Once you've been doing something for a long time, you get used to it and it gets easier. It's not about being smart or being a genius. That error you're seeing is hard because you're seeing it for the first time. The next time you see it, it'll be less challenging because you've seen it before. You'll use your previous experience to figure it out faster. The website or app or API you're trying to use or build is hard because it's the first time. The second time will always be easier. As developers, most of what we do is look up how to do something. We mostly copy code snippets from documentation and other developers and chuck them into our code. Even that process gets faster and easier with time because you learn to know where to look for specific information based on previous experience. No one knows everything, and it's not about being smart or being a genius. Like any new skill, especially something as abstract as programming, you just have to stick with it long enough, and sooner or later, it'll get easier. The third myth is once you master one language, you're done learning. This is completely false. The nature of programming is a continuous learning model. It is constantly evolving with new technologies coming up every year. You don't have to learn everything, but knowing only one is definitely not the way to go. Not only is it not fun because you're stuck doing the same thing over and over again, it's not marketable because you can only do one thing, and when demand for that one thing falls, you're stuck without a job. The best bet is to pick up a language, learn it, work on projects with it, then explore other languages. It's also easy to learn a new language after learning the first one. The basic concepts behind most programming languages are the same, so mastering one gives you the base layer understanding to learn the rest. The next myth is the idea that one language is better than another one. Saying that is like saying a hammer is better than a screwdriver. Different languages have different purposes, and you pick the language and stack that's best for your project. There are always pros and cons to picking a language, and the language were created for a specific reason. You can't build a website with C and C++, but you can build one with HTML, CSS, and JavaScript. Does that mean those languages are better than C and C++? Absolutely not. They were designed for web development, so they're good at building websites. C and C++ are lower level languages that run on the OS of the computer or phone that you're using to watch this video. They are the building blocks of the operating system. They are equally important. Some language experience like web development in React or API development in Python are in higher demand, but that doesn't make them better. It just means those are the trending languages and frameworks. Those languages change as well. A few years ago, Java Spring Boot was the Python Django. It is still being used because it has its advantages over Django, but that doesn't mean it's better. You choose what language is best for you at the current time for the specific thing you want to do. The final myth is that once you're a programmer, it's all six-figure jobs, everything is rosy, and you can relax. This isn't true. Programming is a very lucrative job compared to others, and chances are that you probably get a six-figure job programming, depending on the company and your location. However, that six-figure job comes at a cost. No one will pay you six figures to sit and do nothing. A lot of companies track performance based on your impact you make and less on the hours you're working. That's good, but you still have to make an impact. There are times when you have to work more hours to deliver results and impact, and there are times where you work less. Regardless, you still have to deliver value, and that takes work. There's a social media craze about tech jobs being work from home, doing the bare minimum, and getting paid six figures. But what they don't tell you about is the busy times when you may have to work weekends, or when there's a release that has to go out, or a bug that needs to be fixed ASAP. And all of a sudden, you're working way more than 40 hours because you're working from home. Compared to other jobs, you may work less as a programmer, but all of that is based on company culture and the type of tech you're working on. One thing's for sure, no one will pay you six figures to sit and do nothing. There is always work to be done, and you'll have to provide value of some sort. That's all I have for you on this one. If you enjoyed the video or found anything helpful, then consider subscribing. Catch you on the next one. Peace.